Yeah, I had a question about a book. I was seeing if I could read, or if you've read the definitive guide to underwriting multifamily acquisitions by Robert Beersley. Have you read that?
No, you know what? I'm fresh. I'm a green pea like most people on here, learning how to underwrite. I'm gonna go there and I have just get into that space now, go bold and have some fun in it. Stan is the man who actually helps me see how to analyze it. And I go for it. I'm not really too worried about anything else. But as long as I can see how to tackle it down and actually cash flow,
Yeah.
can't do it myself. So Stan helps me look at it that way, and then together we'll go and tackle it. So no, not yet. I haven't read anything. The only ones I've read are I read the one by Grant Cardone and then one with Robert Kiyosaki, but they were both a while ago before I jumped into real estate like this. So I'm fresh.
Okay, gotcha. I was just trying to see where I could start my education, but all good.
Yeah, for sure. So Stan, I just spoke to the guy who has this Otto or whatever, and he's gonna email me some more information on it right now, because what we have right now is just a spreadsheet, like I think a Forma, an OM on it.
Okay. So is everybody in here, they do multifamily, or what's your guys' background? Can you guys turn on your cameras? You guys don't mind? That way I can talk to just names. There we go, appreciate it.
I'll see me.
No, I'm just getting started. So I want to get into multifamily. So yeah. I'm just wholesaling.
Just wholesaling?
Yeah, I'm just getting started. So
is this Eunice? Is that how you pronounce your name? Eunice?
yes.
Oh, okay, cool. I like that name. What market are you targeting?
I'm in San Diego, but I'm looking into Ohio too. So
Good market.
yeah.
Anything in California is a good market, but it's expensive as fuck.
Yeah, it's high. That's so.
Why Ohio? Is that where you're from?
No, but I just know like the market is a little bit easier. It's easier to like buy and hold. Like I can get a multi-unit out there like way cheap. Like I can buy 3 of them for the price out here. So
yeah, that price per door usually is about like maybe 60 to 70 over there, maybe even cheaper depending on what areas.
Yeah. So
nice. So you've never done an underwriting class before?
No,
or watched it?
I've been binging on everything that Lowe's puts up, and then I watched a couple of deals that you did with Lowe's recently. So
gotcha. Did you learn anything from that?
I learned a lot. It's a lot of information. So it's more like you watch it multiple times, take notes. At first I just watched just to listen, just to absorb the, the vocabulary, the, language. Then I watched it again just to actually watch what you were doing. So I'll watch it another 2 times. I took a few notes, but I'm still learning. So
yeah,
it's
you'll get
a lot
of
information.
It definitely is. So don't be afraid to ask questions, because in this type of industry and commercial, when it comes to like multifamily or anything in general, you can't learn it all. I'm still learning every day, and don't let that discourage you from your goals, basically, right? So multifamily can get daunting just because you see a lot of numbers, but at the end of the day, if you just come in here, just ask questions, see if you can whatever we can answer, I can do my best. Carlos as well. I'm a licensed agent here in Las Vegas, but at the same time, I'm still learning every day. So everything that you see here is just kind of like learning over time. So if I say something that doesn't make sense, just ask me a question. I am by no means a professional when it comes to underwriting all the deals. There might be some things in here that you guys can question, and if I can't answer it, then I'll find somebody else that has a resource that can answer it. But pretty much this underwriting class, I got this calculator from another investor that he's pretty known. His name is Investor Ace. And I just added a few more things on here just to kind of give me an analyzation of other parts that I want to know. But the base of this calculator is from him. But yeah, if you guys have any questions specific, don't be afraid to ask it. But I appreciate your feedback on on what you were mentioning. Hopefully we can find you guys something. Who's that? Marco?
Yeah.
What's up, Marco?
How you doing,
Hello.
bud?
Good.
Hey, very nice to meet everybody.
Hey,
What's up, Marco?
How you doing?
What's-
How you doing?
What's your question?
Okay, so I am saw this lady, she wants 649 for the property. It's actually a duplex. She owes 190,000 on it. What I want to go ahead and do is, well, I have a buyer that's willing to pay 800 and pay off the mortgage so he can have equity on it. And the duplexes, they rent out for 4750. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 4750 for the whole entire month.
4750 a month, yes. With
So that's your gross. That's before expenses, right?
that's before expenses, and there's one empty one.
Mhm.
Okay, so what I was thinking about, I mean, the mortgage is 3100. So if we pay off the mortgage, I'm thinking about just the equity that it would have there whenever the buyer will need it.
Okay.
So she would be
So-
getting more than what she's asking, because she's asking for 649, but she's open to seller financing. She was 190. So me and the buyer were talking about it, and it just came up, it's creative financing. I was like, just give her more than what she wants, pay off the mortgage, so that'll be 800,000, and then you would have 0% to pay. So everything will be coming in, just they would pay his taxes and whatever it needs to be done. It's zoned out and everything. It's in San Antonio. Right by the school.
Yes. So if you're paying off the entire equity, then you don't have there's no debt,
Right,
but
no debt at all.
right? So then your cash flow would be basically unlimited. So depending on what are you trying to do out of it? Are you guys just trying to acquire it and then buy and hold?
He's gonna buy and hold. I just do assignments.
Okay, so you want to wholesale it. So in order for us to get to a wholesale price and whatever it is, we would still need to underwrite it. But if he's willing to overpay, then there's not really, if he's trying to cash out the entire thing, that's not really a creative deal, right? Because
No, he's holding it. He's holding it.
right, but what he's saying is he wants to pay off the entire amount.
Right. So she owes 190,000. She's asking for 649,000. That's why she wants to pay off the mortgage with what she's asking for.
Okay, so it sounds like a hybrid loan. Is that
Yeah,
Carlos,
I don't know. I don't know what it's called.
Hybrid.
right? Seller financing the equity, and then you're just taking over the mortgage subject to.
Yeah, but they
so
wouldn't.
She
there
owes
wouldn't be a
what,
mortgage.
190 or something like that? And
Yeah, she owes
something.
190. Her mortgage payment is 3,100 right now. So
And
that's
she
why
wants 6 something.
649. Yeah,
Yeah,
as a
so
cash
it's
offer.
a hybrid deal.
Yeah.
So what's going on? So how, are you guys trying to tackle this down, or what's the next step? for
Yeah,
you?
yeah. So he's ready to do. I mean, he's ready to do it. To pay 800,000. That's with the mortgage and what she wants. So that way she doesn't have a payment every month, and he would just be getting the payments from where he's renting out the rooms, basically. So he would be getting monthly payments. He wouldn't be paying anything, and then he would have all that equity.
Okay, so he's just gonna come pay cash.
Yeah.
Got you. Yeah, a lot of people do that.
You think that's a good idea? Would that make sense?
Just
If
depends
they
on
have
really
it.
how bold your end buyer is. It's a lot of things, right? If it makes sense, if it's gonna cash flow. And then if your guy's gonna, if you have an end buyer or your partner, whoever you're working with, if that fits his criteria, then it fits
I
his
mean,
criteria.
he is the end buyer, so
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So everybody's a little bit different. I know some people who are bold, and buy properties that are high priced, that are like at market value, turnkey, and they know how to make money on them. I know some
Right.
people that like to, do sub two properties that'll buy assets that are not even cash flowing, that have a low mortgage left on it. It's
Uh-huh.
just so then they can buy and hold it, maybe just break even for 2-3 years, and then they're done with the mortgage. And then now it's a free property. So it just depends really what your end buyer's criteria is, and then you try to fit it
Well,
in.
his criteria is just to make money monthly, especially with the students, and then have that equity there.
How much money can they bring in? How can it cash flow,
4750 a month.
4750 a month. So he's gonna pull a loan for 800,000, right?
He would pay 800,000.
So he would just need to have a payment that's less than that number, right? He needs the cash flow.
Yeah, that would,
So
yeah.
if her payment is 3,100,
So he would be making around $1,000.
what his payment for 800 grand will be 3,000.
No, he would be pocketing $1,000 a month.
But do you know how much his payment will be on 800,000?
I think he's doing it cash.
So that's what I'm saying though. But if he's gonna use his own cash, I get that. But if he's using somebody else's cash, he has to pay them back, right?
Right.
So is he using his own cash, or is he getting?
He's using his own cash.
Okay. Yeah, it's
So
a little
what he-
different
what
when you
he-
have your own
so-
cash.
so-
It's
Yeah,
totally
so what
different
he
when you have
really
no
wants
cash.
is the equity.
Yeah. Hey, it works for him. Like if you have your own cash, you don't have to pay anybody back but yourself, so you're good.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, that's when the cash flow becomes unlimited because you're not having to pay interest
Yeah, you're
on
not
any
having to pay anybody
borrowed
back.
money.
Yeah. Yeah, so it could be a good deal then. I mean, $1,000 a month, that's good money right there.
So you just,
Perfect. Let me go ahead and I'm telling her to lock it up.
There it is. Yeah. But if he's the one who's telling you, because he's the one that's buying it and then paying you, then roll with it. He's telling you go, green light. So go for it.
Yeah, I got one yesterday. Which they locked it up today.
Got you. Who else is
Alejandro.
in here? Let me see. Hey, Adrian,
Yeah,
what's cracking, brother? How are you?
pretty good, man. How about yourself?
I'm well, man. Hey, you have a multifamily deal as well, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to Stan about that one too. What's all the details on that one?
Let me get it up because I didn't get a chance to look at it before we got on here because I was involved with some other stuff.
Cool. Because
Yeah,
I'm waiting for an
give me a
email.
minute.
Yeah. I'm waiting for an email to give me some more information on this one that we're gonna work. But if you
Okay.
have a lot of information and this guy doesn't email me the rest, then we can underwrite yours first.
Okay. Would you want to do the actual multifamily one, or would you want to do the one that's multifamily, single family mix?
The actual
Matter of fact,
multifamily.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, give me a minute and I'll send it to you.
Cool. And then Stan, with the email that we have, let me go back to it.
the Samantha.
Yeah, the Samantha one.
Uh,
You see, because all we have a performer, he's gonna give me what he's supposed to email me right now. But what we have right now is just this performer and then an OM on it.
Right, email again. So are we underwriting Samantha's or are we underwriting Adrian's right now?
Well, if Adrian happens to have like T12 and all the information, I would roll with Adrian's while I wait for this guy's. They're both on the table, they're both open, and we're now looking to acquire properties. We kind of like syndicating our own deals now, just plugging and playing people that can help put a deal together. And so what you guys are watching, we're fairly new, we're green peas, we're all learning together. So as Stan said,
I don't do any of this. I just talk to the people, build a report, get the lower price, get them locked up, and assign it. I send it to a buyer. I live in Mexico, so.
You live in Mexico? Well, you're gonna learn today, buddy.
You're gonna learn today. You're gonna learn today.
Yeah. So this, what we're doing, we're learning as you guys are learning, and we're just gonna document it, record it, and we're gonna move forward and acquire properties live right in front of you guys. And show you guys how to do the same thing. So we're basically on the same journey, almost in the same position as most of you guys.
How long does it usually take for a sub 2 deal to close?
It depends on, you know, how fast you can perform. I did one in like 30 days. Actually, all of the ones I'm doing are like 30 days.
So mostly everybody's doing 30 days, right?
You just want enough time because title, you want to pull title, you have to find the right escrow, just anything, you know, right? Just want good time.
Cool. Well, I
I'm
got
sure you
3
can
contracts
close
today. I got 3 contracts today, so I'm good.
Oh, you're crushing it, bro.
I got 3 today. I had 2 yesterday, 2 the day before.
We're from where in Mexico are you at?
I'm in Hermosillo,
That's right.
Sonora.
When did you move out there or no? Or like were you out here first?
I got moved out here.
You're on a staycation. I got you.
Yeah, I've been here for 12 years. I've owned call centers. I've been doing this. I've been doing call centers for 12 years. I've owned 3 call centers.
Oh, that's right, bro. Congrats.
Yeah, and then COVID hit. That was when the whole wholesale thing started. I trained the first 100 agents for Carlos Reyes.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Beast mode, bro.
for Infinity. I trained. I did his first manual.
Beast, bro. We got a beast right here.
And then now I'm just doing freelancing. 3 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day, man.
Nice. Stan, I emailed you the one that Adrian has, and he has pretty much good amount. He has a good amount of details on it. Hey, you. What you doing over there? You're getting all loud. Yeah,
Wants to
he
be in
got
the
profit
action.
and loss for 2019, 2021.
Okay, I just got it.
Yeah.
It's different.
All right, guys, my apologies. We weren't 100% ready to go. As you see, we're going with the flow right now.
Here's not a question. So T12 is the expenses that they had over the last 12 months, right?
The trailing 12.
Okay.
Stan, go ahead and like explain it a little bit how simple.
Yeah, trailing
in
12
simple
is just-
terms.
Yeah, it's just basically the last 12 months of the profit and loss broken down. So if you don't know the question sometimes, Google is the best place, right? What is a T12? You can always just ask. What is T12? Sometimes you can even go on YouTube. YouTube has like a lot of good stuff. So that's like the typical things when it comes to commercial for multifamilies and shopping plazas. They always ask for T12, which is considered a trailing 12 months, rent roll, which is what the tenants are paying each month, whether they're overdrawn or they're in default, and what's the current rent. So you know exactly what they're paying, and then also when their lease term, if they're month to month or if they're on lease, it tells you what the expiration date of that specific tenant. And then profit and loss statements. So profit and loss statements, obviously it is what it sounds like. It's their profits and their loss for that entire property. And it gives you basically the breakdown. A lot of the times when it comes to multifamily and you're talking to these brokers, that's what you have to ask for. And most of them will not let you have it unless you're signing an NDA and you show what's called proof of funds, right? They'll call it POF. And that's something that you always want to ask your end buyer if they're serious. Before I go into any type of negotiation with any buyer, I always want to make sure that they're qualified. I always ask for proof of funds. Just because a lot of the times these guys they bullshit a lot and you don't want them to waste your time.
A lot of times, most of the time, they're not even.
Yeah, they're not serious. So if you don't want to waste your time, just, show me your proof of funds. And they typically will provide you with a bank statement with, their current bank account. You can get a summary. You can get their stocks from their investment banker. Obviously for us, sometimes people use crazy paces, and you can, anyone can provide proof of funds, but you can kind of see
our articles of incorporation, right?
I've never really got articles of incorporation. It's just more of like a bank summary or the PDF files that they usually send you. Sometimes they take a screenshot, but you can kind of see through that at times. Like most brokers will kind of call you out on it, right? But if you know how to get that information, that's what they typically would want from you. But I think my daughter is in my freezer. Give me a second.
In your freezer?
Yeah, she'll open the freezer.
What a G.
Okay, never mind. Gonna have to keep running back and forth. So what happens when your other half is at the gym? She left me, so I gotta watch her. But yeah, that's what you typically want to provide for us. Whenever we underwrite deals, that's what I typically would want to ask for before we get into a deep dive of what the property is, because I need all that information. You also want to try to also collect the operating expenses, and that's what provides you in that profit and loss statements. They'll give, like most property management companies will provide that, and that comes attached with from the brokers. But if you're directly dealing with the actual sellers, you would want them to have that. But sometimes the mom and pops, the smaller multi-unit properties, like usually 20 units and under, if they're ran old school, most of the times they won't have it. So it's kind of a hit or miss, because if you can't track financials, you can't give a really good estimate on what the value is worth, right? Because we predict everything based on future values. So, that's kind of like how we analyze deals when it comes to multifamily. And that's the subject we're going to stick with, but it also does translate to shopping centers as well. So does that answer the question?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Did you pull up the email, Stan?
Yeah, I have it right in front of me. You guys can't
Where
see
is
that,
it at?
but-
Where? Okay. So Adrian, is this one multifamily or is it like a couple of them?
I think that one was one whole multi-family, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me see. I'm just trying to find it where it says like all the rooms and everything real quick.
Yeah, there's a lot of information here. Sorry, guys, if we're not like super on point right now. I know this is kind of, usually we'll have the numbers, but this is given to us like as we're looking at it. So
Yeah,
profit and
next
loss
time
statements.
Next
That
time I'll
wasn't
send
even
it.
expected
send
to
it
Adrian.
before.
It's not your fault, Adrian.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Yeah,
expected.
I should have sent it before, but next time I know. So
So you always want to get what's current, right? 2021 profit and loss statements doesn't really reflect off of 2022. So that's one of the big things when it comes to multifamily. You always want to get all the information that's current, right? Because last month doesn't mean this month. But most of the time, the most latest statements are always going to be the last month statements. And that's kind of like how we project what's the future value of the property as well. Anything from last year, if you're behind 6 months, 12 months, that's inaccurate already. But sometimes we can run it off of those. So just a heads up. Like for this one specifically that you just sent, Adrian, it does have profit and loss, but it's it's 2021. And it's from December 2021. We're in August almost.
yeah,
So
that's the information that the the seller sent.
mhm.
Yeah, so that's why I don't think anybody that I sent the deal out to, that's why they haven't moved on it yet, because we're trying to get current financials, and the seller hasn't sent it to us yet.
Yeah, okay. And then just FYI, a lot of the times, to get this information, you do have to send, or you have to send an NDA, right? So you gotta be careful with that whenever you provide information and you get an NDA signed from the broker, they don't want you sharing this specifically. Obviously, we're doing something live right now and might get recorded and, they see it and, you can get into a really pickle with that. So just FYI, when you guys get that and you do have an NDA signed, you gotta let us know. Because if we're posting this and it's public, there's sensitive information that can be put on here. That's why I don't put the address. Because that's the last thing we want is to have you guys be in a lawsuit for sharing information that you shouldn't have. Okay. But I'll go off of this right now based on what's provided. What, how many units is this one in particular? For, you have two, you have a Clarion. And then you have Suburban. Which one are we doing?
Clarion.
Clarion? I.
That's probably a bad deal. I probably shouldn't even send that one because now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, my bad, Los.
It's all Gucci.
Yeah,
If we don't run that
I
one,
probably just not. Yeah, probably just don't even worry about underwriting that one. Stan. I'll just have
Alright.
to. Yeah, I'll just go with another one at another time. So yeah,
Okay.
don't even worry about it.
All right, let's just go off of, so just to save us some time from waiting for other files, let's just go off of something that. Who was here last week for the class? Can you guys raise up your hand if you guys were here with us last week? Okay, oh yeah, Ben, what's up, man? Nice to see you again. So you, Josh, obviously Carlos was here. Everybody else is pretty much brand new to this session.
I joined last night.
Doing last night. Oh yeah, Luis,
Yeah, I came a couple weeks ago.
gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Liz invited me last night.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah, my apologies. We weren't so prepared this time, were we?
yeah. So what I can do is, I'll just go off of just numbers that we'll just make something up, right? Because it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, is we can just always analyze something off of numbers. So let's start off with let's just do a $500,000 purchase price. Someone's asking, their asking price is 600,000, right? So we're negotiating. Someone's asking you for, for this property. We don't know what the value is until we analyze the deal. Let's say it's a 10 unit, right? So it's all 2 beds, 1 bath, all 1 unit. These are all considered one. So we got equivalent of 10 units on this. So the breakdown of that technically for the asking price is $60,000 per unit. But let's say we'll go 600 right here.
Guys, my apologies. I'm gonna go ahead and jump back in. I gotta make a call to close the deal, okay?
No worries. Do your thing.
All right.
Let's just say all of it is about 800 square feet. Let's throw in some 850, or actually, you know what, let's throw in a smaller one, right? Sort them out like that, just to kind of randomize square footage. Yeah. So let's say for this one in particular, 585, we got 600. We got a 750. So let's say 750 is like our max rental. These guys are renting some of these for really under market value at the end of the day. Oops. 550, 600. All right, so 725. 725. Okay. So total gross rents, we got 6,360, right? But after you fix it, you flip it, and you get it stabilized, you can rent them out for market value. So let's say all the comparable comps in the area, we can rent them out for about 800 each. So we call that a pro forma, which is the future value of the property after we considered it stabilized, right? So when you stabilize a property, that's what you're saying, like, hey, you're running it at a, you're gonna hear this a cap rate of 13%, right? So you're getting a 13% return on your money, just because we're evaluating this at a 13% cap. When you're done, you stabilize it. Now you're down to, let's say, a 6 cap. So that means that the property has gotten its best value. And these are maximizing the rents. You got amenities in there, right? You added some value to the property. So now people are paying the maximum rent, and you can rent it out for $800 each. So with these numbers, right, you're averaging $636 a month on rent versus the $800 per rent at a 600,000 purchase price is what they're asking for. We don't know what the property taxes are for the year, but let's just give it, I don't know, give me a number, Carlos, four numbers, taxes.
I don't know, man. I don't know, $6,500.
600, okay, cool. So we got $6,500 for property taxes. Insurance is probably gonna cost you, let's say $1,200 for the year. With operating expenses, most tenants or most landlords, they wanna bill their tenants the bill. So per month, let's say you can get away with, they'll pay for the gas, which is $200. You got water, $200, sewer, they don't have sewer, let's say. Then you got another $100 that they pay for garbage, no lawn care, and then no rubs. Rubs is rent utility bill back system. That's when you bill back the tenants. But for this instance, the tenants are already paying their own, right? But this is in total for the entire property. Okay. Now, management fees, they range anywhere between 6 to 10%. All right. If you have a management company that comes in, they want to, most tenants or most landlords, they don't want to manage their property themselves. So they have a management company comes in, and they typically charge on the higher end, unless you're like, you have somebody on staff that you personally or they personally hire. But typically they usually come back at 10%. Vacancies, they run about 5%. And then for what we consider a class C, the letter C, it's typically about 5% maintenance. Does everybody know that there's different classes for multifamily? No. So you're going to hear it a lot, where a lot of the classes are class A, B, or C, right? And they can vary based on location. They can, there's multiple different factors when it comes to a class, right? So think of it as a class for class A, that's like your upper, class, right? You got all the high amenities, great location, higher end materials that you're using. So that's typically what we would consider a class A. Okay. And basically updated with pools, fitness centers, and all that stuff. Class B, it's a little bit nicer. It's kind of in between a class C and a class A, but they're not first class. The neighborhood's actually really good still. It's basically like a revitalization of new business growth in the area. There's better amenities than there would be a class C. The crime rate is lower than there would be in a class C area. And then class C is more of like the middle income, lower income, kind of a combined area. Sometimes they're not in the greatest location. So that's kind of how you classify those. And then also by the year, right? So let's say this is year 2022, in the last 10 years, that's kind of in that same range of a class A. So we kind of fall back about 10 years before you enter into the next stage of a class. So just kind of giving you guys an idea, it's like a section 8 would be a class C, higher crime rate, not the best schools, not the best neighborhoods. This is what we typically look for, because there's a lot of value add that you could add with a class C. That's where you a lot of these investors, they like to get those because they're not stabilized. We like to go in, we like to put value into the property, because the more value you can add, the more you can increase your income, right? And that income is determined by what's being added to the property, right? So if you add a pool, if you add a park, if you add, a dog area, you add coin laundry, anything that can add value to the property and increase your income will increase your property value, okay? So if you can charge more for, amenities, you can increase it by $50 a month per tenant for adding a coin laundry. Like, that's amazing. That's what we considered a value add. So let's say, $600,000 for a purchase price. We want to add, I don't know, this is let's say 5,000 living space, right? So $20. Well, right now in Las Vegas, all right, I'm going to use Las Vegas for example, because that's where I'm from or live. Price per square foot Yeah, price per square foot right now is about $25 to $30 for material, right? So for $500,000 or 5,000 square foot unit. Actually, for this, let's use 7,850. Let's use that 7,850. At $25 a square foot, you need about $196,000 in repairs. Okay, so now you went from an asking price of 600,000. You need to put about $196,000 in repairs because that's what it's going to take to get you to a higher rent. You got to take that in consideration towards your actual acquisition costs. Okay. You guys have any questions so far? I don't want to lose you. If you guys do, just feel free to chime in.
So just real quick, when you say 10% for management fees, that's 10% of overall rents collected?
That's overall, that's going to be based off of your gross rental income.
Okay.
That's where it takes it off of, right? So the 6,360, that 10% is coming off of that. So it's reflected right here. If you look, right, the property management, $636, that's reflected off of that 10%.
Right, yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Yep. Anybody have any other questions? Okay, so if we look right here, if you guys just focus on column K and column N, right? These are gonna be, this first area right here that's highlighted is what's considered your current rents, right? Your current gross rental income, which is that's $6,360. With that purchase price of 600,000, that's where the mortgage calculator comes into play, right? Most investment properties are going to ask you for most banks are going to ask you for a 20% down, right? So that's why we put down payment for 20%. We're using a 6.5% interest rate just because I think the banks just increased their basis points by 0.75 yesterday or the day before. So we're pretty high right now, right? And then a loan term of 30 years. So the amount being financed currently at 600,000 would be 480. Okay. Your down payment would be 120,000. And then closing costs at 2.5%, we're looking at about 15,000. Okay. So with that being said, this current price of the rental income at the current price as is, if you were to buy this property, is generating you a cap rate of 5.69%. Okay, after all expenses, after all you taking off for management fees, taxes, insurance, all the reserves, right? Your operating expenses is coming out to about $3,500 a month. And then you're netting $2,846. Now you're probably like, yeah, that's not bad. You know, $2,800 a month net. That's pretty good, right? But at the end of the day, you're not really looking so good on the mortgage side because now you're really negative because that's not in consideration of what you're paying in your mortgage, your principal and interest, which is your monthly interest is your monthly mortgage is $3,000, right? So they're underwater on this specific property, right? Now, if you look at the $800 a month after you've invested that $196,000 for repairs, and now you can rent it up for $800 a month. Now that's what we considered a pro forma, okay? Because you're predicting that after all the repairs is done, we can increase the value of this house or these units by up to $800. Now your gross rental income goes to $8,000. Now your net operating income goes to $4,158. So now your cap rate just increased to 8.32%, right? Now you're actually making money because your monthly net is $1,124, and that's per month. So your annualized rate is almost 10% on that, right? But at the end of the day, that does, like, we don't really look at that completely because we're looking at what we're going to make on a cash on cash, right? What is our cash on cash return based on the money that we initially invested? So this is not looking so good because for us specifically, what we like to look for is about a minimum of 10% on a cash on cash on the pro forma, right? Because even this at $800 a month, at $600,000 of a purchase price, we're only cash flowing on a cash and cash at 4%, right? You don't want to be spending $800,000 for a property that's only going to generate 4%. That's maybe if it's a class A, when you stabilize it, okay, that would make sense. But let's say because this is a class C, this is how we're evaluating this. This wouldn't make sense for us. This to me is not a good deal, right? Based on the current purchase price of what they're asking. So how do we make it so that it's a deal, right? So what we look at is now we can manipulate the numbers to make it make more sense. And this is what we would ask for an offer price. Let's say we drop it down to 550. Let's see what 550,000 would look like, right? $50,000 off. Now we increase the cash and cash by a few percent. That's still not that good of a deal, in my opinion. It's maybe some for you, maybe, hey, 5% is cool with me. Some investors are like, I'm cool with 5% a year. Not for us, right? We want to make sure that we're making our money worth. So how do we adjust that, right? Okay, 550 won't work. What about 500,000? Now we increase it by another point. So this deal is still not a good deal for us, right? Okay, so how do we increase the profit so that it would make more sense? Do we have to lower the price on the repairs? Let's say we take off $46,000 and just put 150 grand into the property. That would increase it by to 7.45%. Are you guys following?
Yeah, it's a lot of good information. I learned.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
it's good.
Awesome. So just so you guys can see the numbers switch back and forth, I'm going to shrink the screen a little bit more. Can you guys still see this? Is that still good or is that too small?
No, you can see it.
I'm good.
I can.
Okay, cool. All right. So at 600,000, this wouldn't work, right? At 500,000, maybe it might work. But the only way it would work for me is I need a minimum of 10%. So for me, I would need to buy this at least 400,000. Now see how that price on the cash and cash just went to 10%. So this is how we kind of project like, hey, this is where we really need to be at the current rate with the down payment that we have, right? With the repair costs, we need to only put in 150 for repairs. We need to buy the property at 400,000. So we're all in at 560 now, right? The total investment needs to be at 560. That's in taking into account renovation costs plus the purchase price, right? This would be a good deal at 400,000 because we have to take an accommodation based on the comps around the area. We can only maximize $800 in rent because that's what the data shows. That's a good thing about multifamily and commercial is there's no emotions behind it. It literally is what it is, right? We don't need to, fiddle back and forth about, hey, this is, there's no emotional assessment attached to these numbers. It's all the numbers that you have to stick with. And that's key in commercial, right? This is how they underwrite deals on the higher level, but obviously they take into consideration other values and, they factor in a lot of other things, which is why we always want to get the best, the profits and loss. We want to get the rental rates. Like you want to try to get as accurate as possible because it does throw off the numbers by a lot if you can't get it pretty accurate, because sometimes, some people will analyze the deals without the expense rates, right? So look, check this out. We don't put in anything for gas. We don't put in anything for water. We don't put anything for garbage. Look how much of a difference that is. That's a 3% difference, right? That's huge. Look at that. It's 3%. That 3%, that doesn't include, what you're paying for the commission. You don't pay for your wholesale fee, right? So now let's say you're like, hey, Carlos is like, hey, sounds like a good deal, but the wholesaler, he wants 50K for his fee, right? I didn't put that in consideration. So now this is still a good deal at 400,000, but if you add in the 50K for his fee, now it just went down a point. You can see, you can see the bigger difference, right? That does make a difference towards your cash and cash. It does make a difference towards your analyzation on the whole entire deal. So this is, it's all subjective to what you or the investor wants. So you can tailor this any way you want it. But the more accurate, the more data you can provide, this is the best way that we can give you as far as how to evaluate if this is a good deal or not. Does that make sense for everybody?
Dan asked
Yeah.
a question, said, and that's paying cash for the repairs?
And that's paying cash for repairs, like that's what you're analyzing it for, right? This is just kind of like we're just giving an estimation, right? Because sometimes you don't even need to put in 150. What if it's already, halfway done? You're like, I don't need to put that much. Let's just do 75,000. Oops. So now you're, now it would work, right? Let's lower the repair costs. Let's just use cheaper products. We can still pay out 50,000 in commission. But then remember, that's not even considering like what your after repair value is, right? So you got to take that in consideration too. We didn't put that. So it all just depends on what the appetite for your end buyer is. But essentially, this is kind of where your foundation starts off if the deal is a good deal. So that's like your basics. This is why we always want, like you guys always hear it, you make the money on your buy of the property. You don't make the money when you sell. You always make it on this part. Like everyone underwrites their property before they sell the deal because they already know what they have to commit to in funding. There's no guessing, right? You're guessing more on the comps just because sometimes some states don't have the best comp data. The 3 websites that I recommend to find some deals that's on market would be these 3. CoStar is your best data, but they're the most expensive. They're about like $400 a month to get like the best commercial data. They provide.
Sam's asked a follow-up question. Is it common for banks to pay for repairs if you give them the Forma, kind of like the 203K loan?
203K loan. You're talking about the SBA?
No, no,
Is
it's
it common
the,
for-
it's similar, it would be similar to the 203K is like the FHA 203K, so it's
I think
included in the
that-
cost with the
Yeah.
purchase, but also it allows up to a certain amount for repairs.
Right, and I think the 203K loan, don't quote me on this, but I think that's only towards a 4-plex max because the 203K is only FHA, right?
Yeah, it caps
Yeah.
out at 4 and you have to live there too.
Yeah, so it doesn't apply for multi-units past 5 because now you're entering into an SBA or a multifamily commercial loan once it goes to 5 units and up. If you're hitting up to a maximum of 4 units, it's still considered a residential loan. So 203 can only maximize for the FHA, but there's a lot of rules and regulations when it comes to a 203. And it's a pain in the ass from what I hear, because there's approvals that needs to get sent in every time you do a new repair.
Oh,
But there's people that do it.
So basically that's not utilized for commercial property then, it's just
Not
like
more than
residential.
4 units, not more than 4 units. You can use it up to 4 units max.
Okay.
And then Stan, this is a little bit off topic. It was Rosa's question a little bit earlier. She said, how would you approach a shopping center owner about a property that's not on market? How would we go about making an offer, running those comps, and get a sense of what is a good offer?
So it's kind of like the same in a sense. If you build a calculator similar to this, you can pretty much take into factor same scenario, right? Because now your tenants are based on what they're generating. It's a lot more extensive, and to approach a shopping center plaza, it's kind of almost the same way, right? You either have to go through a broker or you go directly to the seller, and they have to provide you profit and loss T12 rent rolls. So making the offer, you don't make the offer until you underwrite the deal. If you don't underwrite the deal, you don't know where you're gonna offer it, right? Because you don't want to go in blind and just make an offer. You have to underwrite the deal beforehand. And even if you're starting to step into that realm of shopping centers, that's like you're stepping into more of an advanced like commercial property asset. It's a different asset class. Like I wouldn't start it if you're a beginner. I don't really enter into a shopping plaza myself unless I have people that already have the experience for that. But I've already seen a few OMs based on how they do underwriting. I have an idea how they do it, but it's very similar. It's just, you got to get those data points from them. Does that answer your question, Rosa?
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. And the reason I was asking is that I have a client who's a tenant in a shopping center. And this appears to be a mom and pop type of shopping center, not like your big
Okay.
thing. And
Uh-huh.
the tenant who's looking to make an offer, I'm an agent, and this is like a little bit outside of my scope of what I do.
Mhm.
But he wants, what I was thinking is like the best way that I could probably just get a sense with, just to have a ballpark idea, not necessarily to make the offer, because obviously we're going to reach to the owner and see if he's even open to selling that property,
Mhm.
is to look at the local leasing comps for that area. And then from there, I was going to sort of work backwards. Like if leases in this area that are similar to that, small shopping center are this much per square foot, and so on and so forth, then the maximum that would make sense for that guy, since it's like a 10-unit type of shopping center. And he's a tenant there. He knows that the rents are kind of cheap in
Right.
places, but we don't have the full picture, so I was just asking.
Yeah. So my suggestion, what market is this in?
In Maryland.
Maryland. Okay. Do you have contacts in the commercial space in Maryland?
Well, I do through my brokerage, and that's what I'm like. This is really outside of what I do. I would love to learn, so I don't just want to like refer it. I would like to get a sense of what I'm doing, and then somebody who's experienced, but at least I know some parts of it.
Yeah, so my suggestion, because you don't have a lot of experience in it, I would just partner up with a local, the good thing about commercial is that anyone can get paid for it, especially if you're licensed. You can just refer it out for a fee, right? Most times is you still can get a 20% referral depending on who you work with. And that's what's the best thing about commercial is very flexible, right? If there's, most of the time, most commercial agents that are good, that want to work with you, they don't care about splitting, as long as whoever's most experienced is going to lead the deal, right? If someone's got more experience in shopping plazas, they're going to be the one that's going to claim it on their sheet or whatever the brokerage is. And you can just partner up on it, take the deal, refer it out, but you can still learn from them, right? They can tell you, they can walk you through the park. It is your client still, and just make sure like you send out a commission agreement that states like, hey, I'm going to get 25% of this, your normal BBA, I would say. But as long as you can find someone that's more dedicated and a specialist, because at the end of the day, you can still learn it, but I would find someone that specializes in shopping plazas and work with them specifically. Even though it is a small mom and pop store, you still want to find someone that has like a co-star access, because they will give you the best comps to run with when it comes to that, because you still got to know what they're making on their lease, because it's totally different, right? They evaluate their property based on what the rental income is for each tenant. And they all have different cash flows. Everyone has a different operating agreement. They have different, on the lease side, they might be triple net, double net, and all that stuff. So that they factor that in.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Anyone got anything else? Cool. So here's, I'm gonna give you guys a little trick. This is something that you guys might want to just note down. I'm gonna pull up my notes because I pulled it up here quite a while back. This will really kind of up your, I would say, up your game when talking to commercial agents or, just clientele, right? You always want to ask yourself, like, how do I evaluate a business, or how do I evaluate a multifamily property, right? There's 3 ways to do it. This is just like your generic way to find the value based on the purchase price, the net operating income, and cap rate. Okay, remember those 3, right? So NOI, which is net operating income. Okay, there is your purchase price, which is what it is. And then there is what's called a cap rate, or a capitalization rate. Okay. There we go. Let me just make this right there. Boom. Right. Net operating income, purchase price, cap rate. So how do you find the purchase price of the property? Right. So what you do is you take your net operating income, right? Divide that by your cap rate. That equals your purchase price. So to give you guys an example, check this out. So if a property, right, let's take this, the net operating income for this property is monthly net operating income. It's $4,158.33. $4,188.33. Right? Was that right on that? Oh, 158.33. 158.33. Okay, so that's my net operating income, right? Now, if we run this on a cap rate of, let's say 5%. Okay, this is a cool thing. When I found this out, I was like, holy shit, I didn't know you could do that. Right? The purchase price, if I take the net operating income and I divide that by 5%, this property, or technically, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Sorry, give me a second. Actual is pro forma. Here, let's use this. This is the bigger number. This is what I'm supposed to be looking at. So 49,900. So let's do that. 49,900. Boom. There we go. That makes way more sense. Okay, so the net operating income for the year, which is annual, because you need to know what the annual income is for the year, not by month, right? So when you see this net operating income, that means for annual. Divide that by 5%. This property should be worth almost $1 million, 998, right? But if you want to run it at a 5.5 cap, right? So if we take this, divide it by 5.5%, you should be paying $907,272. Right? This is how you can find out what price to offer at on a cap rate. Right? Because sometimes they'll just provide you can just work backwards. Okay. So the higher the cap rate, the lower the purchase price, but the net operating income stays the same. Okay. Have you guys seen this before? It's pretty cool, right?
No, yeah. I know.
Okay.
It's another way to check your numbers, right? At the end.
Yeah,
Kind of.
yeah. Okay. So now that's one, right? The other way is, how do you find it based on an NOI, right? You want to know what your NOI is. So if you want to know based on the NOI, right, you take your purchase price, you times that by your cap rate, equals your net operating income. Okay, so if we take, so let's work backwards. The NOI is 4,900, right? Let's go over here, counting. Oh. Let's do it like that. Okay. And then the cap rate is 5%. So if we take the purchase price, let's say purchase price of a property. Well, let's go 998 because it's already right here. Oops. Okay. So we want to know what the NOI is, right? So you take the purchase price, you multiply it by the cap rate, which is 5% is 0.5, right? Or 0.05. That's how you get the cap rate. Okay. Remember, if you're doing it on a calculator and you're not doing it on a spreadsheet, 5% is 0.05 for anybody that doesn't really know how to do math on a calculator. Okay. So same way. So let's say, you know, this is a really shitty cap rate. They're running it at a 10 cap. You want to know what the NOI is because they haven't provided that based on the purchase price of the 998. Right? So you take purchase price times that by cap rate of 10%. So they're running their NOI at $99,800 bucks. That's how much they're making on this specific property. So that's like a little hack. And then the last one is how to find the actual cap rate on the property if they only provide you the net operating income and the purchase price. It's very easy. Okay. So you take your cap rate of the 449,900, and you already know, let's say they give you a purchase price of 750,000. So you basically take your NOI, you divide it by the purchase price. Oops, percent. There you go. Right? That's how you find the cap rate. So just to give you, is that helpful for everybody?
Yeah.
It's cool. You guys just learned something new. So that's how you can impress some of your friends to understand like how these numbers are ran. And these are the three things that you want to know, right? Net operating income after your gross rent, after all your expenditures, right? Cap rate is basically what your return is on your investment per year, annualized, and your purchase price. What was I going to say? I think I can't remember what I was going to say, but okay, here, one last thing before I can open it up for Q&A. The last thing I want to give you guys is when it comes to like a class C based on the cap rate, right? A lot of these times you're going to see anywhere between a 10, 12, 15% cap rate. The higher the cap rate on a class C neighborhood, that means it's a higher risk. When you start seeing numbers in the 4, 5.5, 6%, that means it's already stabilized, right? Less risk. So that's how you can basically gauge your risk factor meter, is based on the cap rate. And this is like, I mean, I think this is subjective, but that's kind of like how we evaluate some property based on the risk. Is the higher the cap rate, the higher the risk, the lower the cap rate, the lower the risk, because it's already stabilized, right? Versus not. So as is, stabilized. So just remember that higher cap rate, higher risk. So that means that they want to put more value to the property to stabilize. So you have lower returns, but you know, it's lower risk. Cool. Does that help a lot of people?
Yeah. So it's a fine line. Like you would think you would just want a higher cap rate, but once you get to a certain point, it gets riskier.
Yes, correct. Because, most of the time when you take on a property as is, it usually already has a substantial amount of risk in it because of the current condition, the location. They've already paid down a lot of their debt, right? So they're getting a lot more in the return of their investment over time. So you're not funding more, they're not putting more money into the property. Cool. I think we're good, but anybody else have any more questions?
No, there's a lot of knowledge though, bro. There's a lot of stuff. I learned a lot.
Cool. Glad.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that until you do it, it's kind of learned. It's hard to retain. You just got to do it over and over again, like anything.
Yeah, it took me a while to get it, but once you start doing it on a spreadsheet or you start like doing it every single day, it's just kind of repetitive, something that you do. So it just gets easier. The more that you come into these type of underwriting, the more numbers that you see, the more that we can evaluate. Sorry, we couldn't do an actual deal, but this is literally like your standard of how to analyze a property and if it's a deal or not. Awesome. Cool. I know you guys have to be somewhere else. I got to get back to my daughter, but thanks guys. I appreciate your guys' time. If you guys have any other questions, you guys feel free, you guys can reach out to me or Carlos. I'm gonna leave my number in the chat room. That's my number. But yeah, really appreciate you guys taking the time to come hang out with us. Look over this deal. Hopefully the next one that we do, it's actually a live property that we can analyze for you guys. So
yeah, that's what we kind of planned for today, but it didn't go as planned. I didn't get it all prepped up the right way. That was my fault, guys. But yeah, we're trying to do this once or twice a week, very consistently, and just rock and roll. Hey, Sam, I hit up Brent Daniels and just told him how I was bringing you guys in. And Brent texted me back yesterday with he was like, all right, cool, man. I'd love to hear that. When I get back, I'll give you a call and I'll promote you and we'll get you in there. So I think TTP is going to come into the powerhouse more now and get into our role.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah. That was pretty dope, man. It's going to blow us up right there. It's going to get a lot more traction for us.
Hell yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too, guys. We'll be able to teach you some stuff and we're looking to help you guys as well. If you guys haven't built a dispo, a lot of us are building dispo departments. We could do creative financing, stand right here, underwrite anything for us. So let us know how we can help fund your deals, close your deals, buy your deals, or dispo your deals.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Hey, thanks, Dan. Thanks for coming in here.
yeah, you're welcome, guys. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah,
Good to see you,
hopefully
Ben.
next time that we come in, if everybody kind of like a little homework, if you guys have any multifamily, that way we if the more multifamilies that everybody brings up to the table so that we can underwrite, I think the more that we're all going to learn and figure out how to underwrite deals a lot better. So
yeah, we'll syndicate deals together, man. Bring us some deals, we'll analyze. Everybody gets paid in the deals. So let's just we'll get it right this next week though. Okay, guys.
Right on. Thanks for you guys' time, man. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Dan.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thanks,
you guys.
guys.
All right, guys, you guys have a good one. Have a good
Later.
one.
Have a good one.